Hello, this is Matthew Robert Payne, and welcome to this video. You would have seen the title of the video, and you would have seen how long the video is. And at this time, I'm not sure how long this is going to be, but this is Paul entreating us as to the reasons why you should give, and this is something Paul had to write. I've uh, I've got the ability to talk back and forth with saints and develop relationships with saints in heaven, and I have talked to Paul, and I've interviewed him in a book that I wrote, but I haven't had a lot of interaction with Paul, and I'm starting to really come to love him as I teach and read what he's written. I'll say the book of Hebrews, I can't really understand. I believe Paul wrote that, and can't really understand a lot of the book of Romans, and are sort of upset in a way that that I can't understand them. But I love Paul. The Paul that I can understand, I come to really love. And he had this message for the Corinthians church, and he's talking a little bit about giving, which is uh, one of the born again Christians' least favorite subject, because people keep on telling them to give, and 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 so I don't expect a lot of people will watch this video when they see the title. Let's go through it line by line. We're going to be reading in the New King James Version, 1 Corinthians 9, verse 1 to 14. 1 Corinthians 9 is a long chapter, and I'll have to break it up into separate parts, and this video will probably be long enough without me going through the whole of chapter 9. So verse 1 says, "Am I not an apostle? Am I not free? Have I not seen Jesus Christ our Lord? Are you not my work in the Lord?" So he's announcing here, is it true that I'm an apostle? Do you believe me when I say that I'm an apostle? Am I not an apostle? And there's the opposite exists in our world. There's a lot of people who call themselves apostles, and there's a lot of fakes and pretenders, and in some of these apostolic networks that exist today, you can come forth with contacts and money and present the money and buy an apostleship off these networks. They can lay hands on you and endorse you as an apostle, but you don't necessarily have to be one. So Paul is saying to the Corinthians here, am I not an apostle? Am I not free? So Paul was bound by the law, and as a teacher of the law, he was very religion based and really rules based and law based, and what people call legalistic. I'm partially legalistic myself, so I don't like calling anyone legalistic, but Paul was bound by the law and he wasn't free. And Paul is announcing here, am I not free? Am I free to do whatever I choose? Am I bound up by the regulations of the law, or am I set free by the grace of God? One of the requirements of being a modern day apostle, if you look at things that qualify you to be an apostle, if you look at a list today, and I'm not sure of everything that's on that list, but one of the things on the list is that you've met Jesus Christ. So it obviously existed in that day too, because Paul says, have I not seen Jesus Christ our Lord? So Paul, it's recorded in the book of Acts that Paul met Jesus Christ and knocked him off his horse, and a number of times in the book of Acts it mentions that Paul had a vision of Jesus Christ. I've personally seen visions of Jesus Christ hundreds of times, and I've actually personally, and you may think I'm boasting here, or you may think I'm totally out of my mind, but I personally met Jesus Christ in the flesh 10 times. 5 times Jesus Christ has left heaven with a different body, and it was up to me to recognize him in that body, and I did. And 5 times Jesus Christ has appeared to me in the body of another homeless person, another person that I knew, and I'd be talking to that person, and they'd go into sort of a trance, and they'd sort of lose their consciousness, and Jesus would be speaking through them. And they were my best encounters, where I had the opportunity to talk to Jesus face to face through the mouth of another homeless person. So I've, like Paul, I've met Jesus Christ. Then Paul says, are you not a work in my work in the Lord? So he's saying here, am I not an apostle? Am I not set free by the gospel of Jesus Christ? Have I not met Jesus Christ? Are you not the work of the Lord, my work of the Lord? Are you not a result of my work? And he's using this to lay a foundation for what he says. If I'm an apostle to others, yet doubtless I am to you, for you are the seal of my apostleship in the Lord. If I'm not an apostle to others, yet doubtless I am to you, for you are the seal of my apostleship in the Lord. So he's saying, I may not be an apostle to other people, but I am to you, and you are the evidence that I'm an apostle. The evidence that I'm an apostle is found in the work that I've done in your life, and I've been responsible for being a spiritual father in your life. I've given birth to you, and I've raised you as a spiritual father, and because of that, I'm known by you to be an apostle. So verse 3, my defense to those who examine me is this. So now he's going to make an argument. Do we have no right to eat or drink? So is it okay? He's saying here, is it okay if I have food? Is it okay if I drink? Is that my right? Have I got a right to eat and drink? Do we have no right to take along a believing wife, as do the other apostles, the brothers of the Lord, and Cephas? So if we're traveling and ministering in the kingdom, if we're going about the Lord's business, haven't we got a right to take our wife with us? So can you not only supply food and drink for us to survive, but can you supply food and drink for our wives too? Can you look after us financially? Can you look after us? Or is it only Barnabas and I who have no right to refrain from working? So he's saying, all these other apostles travel with their wives and stuff, and all these other apostles receive food and drink, and they're looked after. So is it only me and Barnabas who are fooling ourselves with the idea that we should be looked after by the people we're preaching to? Is me and Barnabas out of line here, not working in a normal job? Or are we qualified in your eyes to live off the gospel? Are we qualified to not go to work to earn our living? But is it true that the work that we're doing here qualifies us as workers for the gospel? And should we not be looked after by doing the work that we're doing? And that's essentially what he's saying. Verse 7, whoever goes to war at his own expense, who plants a vineyard and does not eat of its fruit, or who tends a flock and does not drink the milk of the flock. So he's just giving 3 examples here. When an army goes to war, it's financed by the government. So the soldiers get their wages and send their wages home to their family because the government finances them. So the food and drink that the food and drink that the soldiers need to live on, and the accommodation that the soldiers need to live in, is all supplied by the government, all supplied by the army. So soldiers don't get their life savings and give them to the government and go to war on their own dime. They actually get financed by the government. They get paid by the government that's sending them to war. And Paul is saying here, if we're going to work among you and give you our time and preach and teach you the things of the Lord, shouldn't we be getting financed by you? Or who plants a vineyard and does not eat of its fruit? Once again, who labors and plants a vineyard and refines the vineyard and does the work in the vineyard and brings forth a crop and doesn't get produce from that vineyard to source them? Who plants vineyard and doesn't earn money from it or get to eat from its produce? Or who tends a flock and does not drink of the milk of the flock? So I don't know what animal, maybe goats give milk, and maybe a flock of goats that the person's tending and they're having goat's milk. But Paul is just laying down a foundation here that he's saying to the people, aren't I qualified? Don't you think I'm qualified to receive finances from you, receive sustenance from you? Am I doing all this for free, or can you find it in your hearts to supply the resources that I need? Verse 8, do I say these things as a mere man, or does not the law say the same also? So he's saying here, am I just making this up? Or is it true that the law of God, the written law of the Bible, doesn't the written law of the Bible say the same thing? Another way of saying it is, am I just saying this to you as a mere man? Or am I just expressing the ideas that have already been set forth in the Old Testament law? Verse 9, for it is written in the law of Moses, you shall not muzzle an ox while it treads out the grain. Is it oxen God is concerned about? So here he's saying that the law of Moses says that you shouldn't put a muzzle, like a covering over an ox's mouth while it treads out the grain. As it treads out the grain, the ox will eat the grain. As it's doing the work, when it gets hungry, it'll eat from the grain. And Paul is saying that just like that ox, as we minister on behalf of the Lord to you, we should get fed and sustained by you. Is it the ox that God is concerned about? So when the law says that you should not muzzle an ox while it treads out the grain, was God just talking about, was God just concerned about oxes when he said that? Was he just giving instruction to farmers, make sure your ox, you don't muzzle the ox when it's treading out the grain, make sure you allow the ox to eat of the grain while it's treading out? Was God just talking an instruction to farmers there, or was he saying something different? Was he saying that a worker in the kingdom should be financed by the kingdom? 10, or does he say it altogether for our sakes? For our sakes, no doubt, this is written, that he who plows should plow in hope, and he who threshes in hope should be a partaker of this hope. So he's saying, like Jesus said, whoever puts his hand to the plow should and turns back is not worthy of the kingdom. And so Jesus has given a simile of working in the kingdom as like plowing, and Paul is using that to here, saying if we're plowing, we should plow in hope. We should have a hope of a reward when we push the plow and we go forth in ministering the kingdom. Verse 11, if we've sown spiritual things to you, is it a great thing if we reap your spiritual things? Your material things, he says. So I just so Paul is saying here, if we're ministering spiritual things for you, is it such a great thing that we ask you, that we place a demand on you for you to give us material things? Paul needed a place to live, a place to stay. He needed food and he needed drink. Sometimes he may have needed new clothes. So Paul is saying, will you look after us? If we look after you spiritually, will you look after us financially? If we look after you spiritually, will you look after our material needs? It's not too much to ask. And I want to say to you, if you're following my channel, if you're watching my teachings, I really enjoy, I'm starting to really get into the swing of things and enjoy my daily teachings. But if you're a person who follows my channel and watches a lot of my videos, I want to put an appeal to you that on my prophetic website, I've got a support me button. I've got a page where you can give a donation by PayPal. If you're enjoying, if you're being grown, if you're being sustained in some way by my teaching, I'd encourage you to sow towards that and give an offering towards that. If you're a person who follows me and reads my books and gets encouraged and grows through my books, can I encourage you to sow towards my ministry and bless me financially? And that's what Paul is saying here. He's teaching him spiritual things. And he's saying, if we teach you the spiritual things, is it such a great thing that we reap your material things. Verse 12, if please forgive me for putting an appeal in for you to support me financially. I encourage you, to go to my support page and go to the PayPal and put in an amount and tick the box and make that a monthly support. I really encourage you to take the plunge to make it $20 or $50 or $100, whatever you choose to, whatever the Holy Spirit puts on your heart, and tick the box so you're a monthly subscriber, and just use that as a bill and sow in to my ministry. And I'd encourage you to do that. Verse 12, if others are partakers of this right over you, are we not even more? Nevertheless, we have not used this right, but endure all things, lest we hinder the gospel of Christ. So he's saying to them, we don't ask you for finances. We haven't placed the burden on you for finances. He says, but if others have required you to finance them, if others have asked you for finances, don't we deserve the finances more than that? And I'm going on to say that we haven't asked you for finances yet, and we don't ask you to finances because we don't want to hinder the gospel. We don't want to for the gospel to lose its power in your life by you being offended about us asking for money. But if you're in the practice of giving to people who minister to you, and other people who've come and ministered to you in the past have taken money from you, don't we deserve it more than them? Because we've been with you from the start and fathered and taught and equipped you for a long time. Don't we deserve the finances just as much? And that's what he's saying there. Verse 13, do you know, I just had a person write to me on Facebook. I just got to check that. So Paul is saying here that others have taken money from you, so don't you think we deserve it too? Do you not know that those who minister holy things to eat of the things? Do you not know that those who minister the holy things eat of the things of the temple, and those who serve at the altar partake of the offerings of the altar? So the actual people who work in the temple and work in the altar, the priests didn't have an income, and part of their income was that they could eat the sacrifices. So people would sacrifice lambs and beef and all sorts of things, and the priests would take the meat of the sacrifices and eat that themselves. They'd been sacrificed, cooked and given to God, and then the priests were allowed to feed their family. And Paul is saying, we're ministering like priests to you. We're ministering the things of the Lord to you. And just like the priests could eat of the sacrifices and were sustained by the Lord that they could do that, we're asking you to financially bless us and support us just in this same way. verse 14, even so, the Lord has commanded that those who preach the gospel should live from the gospel. So sometime, I don't remember Jesus saying that, but he could have in the gospel. But Paul is saying here at some time Jesus said, those who preach the gospel should live from the gospel. So there are the verses that we're going to cover today. I would encourage you to find it in your heart to give to me and support me financially. I'm going to do a video and give testimony to the way my life has changed in the last 6 months as a result of me partnering with a couple of ministries and supporting a couple of ministries. And I'm going to do a video of testimony on the benefits of giving and the benefits that have come to my life because I've given. And it's going to be my next video on my YouTube channel. So I encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel and watch that video as I do it. I'm going to do it in a few minutes. So I hope that you encourage this. This was the Apostle Paul laying down some reasons that why the Corinthians should feel obliged to give to him. He was giving some good reasons and quoting some good things. And I think personally, I know a statistic that says that only 5% of Christians in the United States tithe. Only 5% of Christians in the United States give 10% of their income, and which means 95% of the Christian church say they love God, but don't put their money where their mouth is. So I know that 95% of you listening to this teaching, listening to this video, don't actually give 10% of your tithe. And I'd encourage all of you to watch my video where I'm going to say the benefits of partnering with a ministry. Will probably be the title of the video. I'd encourage you to watch that video. There's been a lot of benefit, and a lot of change, and a lot of amazing things happened to me since I partnered with a couple of ministries. And I would never go back. I would never stop partnering with those ministries. I'd never risk all the benefits that are flowing down into my life by stopping partnering with that. I'd always been a giver. For 20 years, I've given 30% of my income to the Lord. I just started to direct some of that 30% to a couple of ministries, and I've been totally blessed in many ways because of that, and that'll be in the next video that I do. So I pray that this video has encouraged you. If you want to watch it again and go over it again, I'd encourage you to like this video. If I've said some things that you want to comment on, I'd encourage you to write a comment. If this video is new to you and I'm new to you and you haven't seen me before and you'd like to hear teachings of mine again, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel. I've got a prophecy website in the description tag, and you can go to that website and request a prophecy off me. You can go to that website and sign up and partner with my ministry of writing books and doing videos. I've got a website underneath in the description tag that's got 60 of my books for free on that website. I encourage you to go and read a couple of my books. And I've got my Facebook address there, and I encourage you to friend request me and become a friend of mine on Facebook. I pray that this video has ministered to you, and I hope that you do well in your life and you're much encouraged. God bless.